Pete Nakos, so we got the portal opening on Wednesday. Want to get your opinion on who are some of the big buyers this time around?
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of look at the college football landscape right now. Michigan is definitely going to have a need at wide receiver and offensive line, and I think we're going to need to also see what Michigan does in the portal when it comes to quarterback. They obviously have Bryce Underwood. They obviously have Jaden Davis, but there's some questions with Mikey Keene and what that's going to look like, and if they need to bring someone else in. Obviously, Keene has been limited this spring, and then elsewhere across the country, Bill Belichick is gearing up for his first season of college football. He needs to go get a quarterback this spring. That is going to be a big focus point that I think a lot of the nation kind of turns its attention to. And then Ohio State has a big need at defensive tackle. Texas Tech is going to be a buyer. They've proven to be a buyer. They're going to be a buyer again. Penn State kind of needs maybe a couple more wide receivers. So, yeah, there's a lot of needs across the country right now.
So when it comes to, we know that there's going to be a lot of demand, but what about the supply? What positions will serve up the best talent? Is it quarterback and O-line? I mean, where can teams really go to upgrade some of these positions?
So maybe the most needed position right now is offensive tackle. That's one thing we keep hearing a lot about right now. And you can never have enough edge rushers and just top defensive linemen. So I think those two spots are really going to be a focal point. But the news of this past week at Tennessee and Nico Iamaleava's departure is really going to set off some quarterback dominoes, I believe.
All right. Yeah, and that leads to my next question. What does Tennessee do when the portal opens? I mean, we already saw kind of the storm brewing with Mike Matthews. He's staying at Tennessee, at least for now. Do we, one, see more players enter the portal from the Tennessee Volunteers, or do we see Tennessee get active in acquiring talent?
Yeah, so Tennessee now has 2 scholarship quarterbacks on its roster, so that is definitely going to have to be a position of attention and need right now. They have George McIntyre, the freshman, and then Jake Merkinger, the redshirt freshman, and both guys are going to have a shot to compete for the job. I think what's going on right now at Tennessee is there's a conversation of, do we go bring in a guy who has the experience, who can come in and start day one in the SEC, or do we go get a guy that is going to challenge George and Jake, but also sets George and Jake up for an opportunity to compete for the job and maybe set us up for the 26 and 27 seasons beyond just 2025. Now, the one thing you get asked too, Josh, is do we see more players leave Tennessee? I think Tennessee did a heck of a job in December of keeping their roster together when a lot of stuff was kind of, there was a lot going on at Tennessee in December all across the board, and we continue to learn more about it. Tennessee did a really nice job of keeping that roster together, and they're going to have to continue to do it in the spring.
Yeah. So on the flip side of that, what does Nico do moving forward?
So wrote a intel story on Saturday after the news broke that he's going to enter the transfer portal. In that story, we mentioned USC and Notre Dame. I think those are 2 really unlikely destinations at this point, but leading up to Saturday's news, they had really been talked about in a lot of circles. But one school I keep hearing a lot about as of Sunday is UCLA. It's close to home, can make a lot of sense going back to the West Coast. Bringing someone like that to that program could be a game changer. And then, the one other school that there's 2 more schools that Texas Tech keeps being brought up because of the money they have. I don't expect the Red Raiders to be a factor in this. They're really happy with who they're bringing back, and Barron Morton. And then we kicked off the show talking about North Carolina. They need a quarterback. Is Bill Belichick and Nico the right fit? I don't know if I'm the one to answer that question, but that's going to be something that's speculated about a lot in the coming week.
Yeah, all eyes on that recruitment when the portal opens on Wednesday. Now, it seems like there's still a good amount of teams with major needs to fill. Is this going to be an expensive time to fill those needs?
Yeah, nothing comes at a cheap in the transfer portal. It always comes at a premium when you're trying to stock these really high level, important positions. Now, the one thing that I am very curious to see how it plays out in the next week is the quarterback position across the country. Obviously, ACC, Big Ten, and Big 12 quarterbacks in transferring to Tennessee. There's no intra-conference transferring right now in the SEC in the spring. That's a league rule. I think a lot of quarterbacks are gonna get raises. I think a lot of quarterbacks are gonna try to leverage what's going on at Tennessee right now, and I also think that even if Tennessee doesn't make some phone calls, I'm sure some quarterbacks are gonna be trying to get that pay raise to you know, if they're threatening to leave or trying to get one last boost right before the fall. So, really interested to see what the quarterback market looks like in the next 15 days.
Yeah, it's going to get crazy here in the next couple of days. And Pete Nakos, your report on Thursday kind of set things off with Nico potentially renegotiating. That led to him no longer being a part of the program anymore. And it's only been about 72 hours since that story broke. So who knows what the next couple of days are going to be hold for us. Pete Nakos, have fun with the transfer portal when it opens on Wednesday.
Thanks, Josh.